How's it going, everybody? It's Stas here. So another interesting day in the markets today. We had the S&P go down 0.8%. The Dow went down 1.4%. We saw the NASDAQ 100 break even, and the Russell 2000 went down 0.3%. So today, we're going to break down the markets, take a look at some stocks here, and go over my thoughts overall. Is this the bounce back? Is this going to be the continuation of the uptrend here, or is there more selling in store? Let's get right into the video. So overall, as you guys can see here, based on SPY, believe it or not, the uptrend seems to be continuing. And how am I saying that? Well, I'm looking at this 4-hour chart on ThinkOrSwim here, and we can see a couple of green candlesticks forming right above the 180 simple moving average, which has held as support really for the past couple of months. Ever since the end of October, you guys can see we've been trading above this moving average. So as of now, as long as this ends up holding as support, the uptrend is intact, right? And if we see a breakout, and by breakout, I mean, let's say we end up taking out this 5-day, 5-minute downtrend. Maybe we end up breaking up into the 415 level, 418. You know, if that ends up happening, that is going to be the continuation of the uptrend, pretty much the confirmation of that. But the second we break under, let's say 411, right around the 180 SMA here on the 4-hour chart, and 411 was that low from a couple weeks ago. The second we break that level, I'm thinking there's going to be more selling in store, maybe down to about 398. That's a level we mentioned recently. 403 to 405 is another level. So overall, I'm not convinced that the selling is 100% over until we start breaking back up into the 418, 420 level. Until then, guys, you know, I feel like there could still be some selling. Volatility was all over the place today. I mean, the VIX went up 11%, so just be careful. And tomorrow we get that CPI number for the month of April. That's a catalyst, you know, that could move the market in either direction. And if anybody tells you they know what the number's going to be and where the market's going to go, they don't know, guys. Nobody knows. It's really a 50-50 where the market is going to go. So we have to be patient. And I did make some moves today, right? I did make some moves today, but I'm still leaving some capital aside for these next couple of weeks, just in case the markets do end up going lower. And look at QQQ, guys. Did you see what happened to this thing today? What a bounce back did we see? We saw a big drop, obviously, yesterday. That's no question. And earlier in the pre-market, we were down to 318. Then all of a sudden, the market opened. We saw a big move in QQQ. Tech stocks rebounded. We got the golden cross here on the 5-day, 5-minute for QQQ. And we ended up closing and struggling like I predicted in the earlier video. We ended up struggling right under 325, 326, which was support. If I pull up this hourly chart, you can see it. This was support last week where we double bottomed and we broke out. So the fact that we're struggling here makes sense. And look, guys, if we fail to break out of 325, 326, this could end up selling off back to 323 if that breaks, which was also, I believe, a support a couple weeks ago. Let me double check that. No, it was resistance a couple weeks ago in the middle of March. If we fail holding that as support, it's going to be a bloodbath. I think it's going to end up going back down and maybe taking the lows out from today pre-market, and then maybe getting down to 310, 312. That is where I really think we could end up going. And does this mean I'm not going to be buying stocks? Well, no, I bought stocks today. Like I said, I made some moves, but I'm still keeping that cash on the sidelines just in case. And with this catalyst coming up tomorrow, the CPI numbers, it is a 50-50. Again, no one really knows. So what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. Are you buying this dip? Are you selling stocks? Are you just simply on the sidelines for now for the next couple of weeks? I'd love to know. And during this sell-off, gold was green. Gold went up 0.04%. Silver went up 1%. And we'll talk about a silver stock that I talk about all the time in this video later on, which I want to do an update on. But before before we have to talk about AMD, ticker symbol AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. You guys know this company, right? They ended up doing very well today as well. Maybe not at the close. I mean, they only went up 1% at the close of the market, but the recovery during the day was ridiculous. I mean, we hit a low of $72 pre-market, and we ended up running all the way up to pretty much $77, which equated to almost a 6% move throughout the day. So that is pretty big. And what that's telling me overall, and you guys can see here on the 4-hour chart, this is telling me that AMD really respects that $70 to $72 to $73 level of support, and a lot of buyers stepped in at that level of support. And you guys can see we've held this area for months, back in September, back in October, also in February, March, now in May. So this is a good sign, I'd say, for AMD, and they also had pretty solid earnings, right? You guys remember that from a couple of days ago, well, really 2 weeks ago at this point. They did pretty well with earnings, so I feel like this is potentially a buy the dip opportunity. I believe there could be more upside, and that's if QQQ maybe breaks out of that 325 resistance. Maybe we see a bit of a rally. I feel like AMD could end up going back to the 80s, no problem. We're talking $80, $82 in the short term. So I'm going to be watching AMD for that exact reason. And you guys know I'm in it as a long-term position, and I'm watching it for both to add to my long-term position and to maybe jump in as a short-term trade. And what I would actually like to do even more, guys, which would entail AMD to go down a bit, so maybe that's not good if you're in it as a trade. But for me, in a perfect world, you know, maybe we broke $72, that support, maybe this descending triangle played out, and we got gifted with AMD at 50, maybe not 50, gosh, guys, but maybe like 70 or 60 rather. Maybe we got gifted with a lower price of AMD, and I just pick up more for my long term. I just think it's going to be a successful company long term, and that's just my opinion, and I'd love to know your thoughts down below as always. And Palantir is another one. I don't want to talk about it too much because I did mention it in last video, the last video from today. Make sure to check that out. It's on the channel right now. But overall, Palantir did well. It went up 9% on the day. Out of my watch list, it was the most green stock of the day, and you guys can see we closed right under $20.50, roughly, right? And that was the support we held all throughout March, April, and now into May. And obviously we broke under it, hitting $16 earlier today in the pre-market, which was crazy, right? So I need to see Palantir break above $20.50, $21. Heck, I need to see it break above $23 before we end up seeing that momentum shift back to the upside. And they did well with earnings. EPS came in at 4 cents, in line with estimates. Revenue came in at $341 million versus $332 million. Revenue's up 43% year over year. The Q2 sales guidance is up, and they see annual revenue growth of 30+% from 2021 to 2025. So guidance is up, EPS is good, revenue's good, the company's growing. So these are good signs and everything, but we need to push up higher, and I think this earnings report could potentially do that. And look at the move it made intraday. I mean, unbelievable. If we're looking at, well, pre-market a little bit too, it went from $16.30 to $20. It moved 20% throughout the day. That is unreal, right? That is just incredible. So Palantir, watch it, guys. I'm definitely watching it myself. I'm not in it as a long-term or as a trade right now, but who knows? Maybe I do get in it as a trade here in the next couple of days. That's possible. And Shopify is another one that did pretty well today, up 2.7%. And the reason why I like this, guys, is because with today's pop, we ended up holding a higher low at 1030. The uptrend continued, and we held the support of the wedge, right? These are good signs that Shopify wants to make its way back up. I'd say to the 1200, maybe mid-high 1200. area. I think that's possible, especially if we end up breaking out of the moving averages here on the 4 hours. So I'm going to put an alert right at that spot, and that's going to be at about 11:45, 11:50. If those levels break, guys, I think there's going to be more upside in Shopify, probably upwards of 10%. Up to those high 1,200 levels. So I like Shopify here, ticker symbol SHOP. Opendoor is another one that just reported earnings prior to me hitting that record button, guys. And let's take a look at what they did, because I don't think I looked too deep into them. Yeah, I didn't look into them at all, to be honest, but I did see the stock moving up. So we can see they did 48 cents, well, negative 48 cents of EPS. That came in line with estimates, and sales came in at $747.27 million versus the, holy crap, $620.18 million estimated. So they beat sales by a wide margin. EPS came in line. Okay, we can live with that. I'm looking more at the sales here. So I'm excited about that. I want to see more, to be honest, guys. So I'm probably going to look more into these earnings later on today. And if you guys didn't know, you guys probably don't know, I own a long-term position in Opendoor. I've owned it for, gosh, maybe close to half a year at this point, maybe even more, probably more than that. I bought it at $18 originally. I mean, it was right around here that I bought it, and then we wrote it up and wrote it all the way to 39 and all the way back down. And that's kind of what I did with Virgin Galactic as well, which we've mentioned before. And I don't care, because these are smaller positions and I'm in it for the long term. You know, I'm not looking to just get in and double my money really quickly, because I feel like Opendoor, maybe I could 5-10x my money in 10 plus years. You know, that is the goal with this. And I don't have a life-changing amount of money in it, guys. You know, like I said, this and Virgin Galactic, they're smaller positions, although I'd argue, and I'm sure you'd agree, Opendoor is way less speculative than Virgin Galactic. So, yeah, you know, I'm in these stocks. Opendoor, I like it. You know, earnings are looking pretty solid there, and technically speaking, we're still in a downtrend. You guys can clearly see that. So I need to see this break above $21 to be safe, and maybe even $22. Heck, we'll put it in the middle there, $21.50. We'll see that. If that breaks, this could be the breakout sign for Opendoor, and especially if that high point from the end of April breaks, $22.50 to $23, that is going to be a turnaround spot for this stock. You guys can see here the next stock is Electronic Arts, also known as EA. They also just reported earnings today. They did EPS of $1.23 versus $1.05. That ended up beating. We saw sales come in at $1.49 billion versus $1.39 billion. That also ended up beating, and I'm not sure why the stock is down. Maybe because they posted lower Q4 results from a year ago. You know, that might be a reason. They did set the guidance, it seems like, here, although I'm not seeing what the guidance was. Okay, they see full year 2022 EPS of $1.34, net revenue of $6.8 billion, net bookings of $7.3 billion. So that is pretty interesting here. And overall, the stock is still stuck in this ascending triangle on the yearly chart. And until we break above 150, I feel like this stock is going to continue just consolidating. So I think we need to set an alert at $150. Watch out to see if it breaks above that point. And from there, we could see a move maybe upwards to 155, 160. So 150 mark is at or above on EA. And now let's talk about that silver stock that I was talking about earlier, AG. And I've mentioned this before on this channel many times, and now we're breaking out yet again. Look at this 4-hour chart, and you can see how it's ready to explode. At least it seems like it's ready to explode, right? And this played out exactly like I mentioned a couple of days ago, right? We saw that initial breakout out of the wedge here when we broke out. What day was that? Oh, that was yesterday, right? Yeah, that was yesterday. We broke out, got to $17 pre-market, which is a good bullish sign, and then we sold off the whole day. So we went from 17 pre-market down to about 1580 or something, and then today we ended up holding the resistance of the wedge and the 180 moving average as a support here on the hourly chart at a higher low, and we ended up ripping up. We had a 4% day, and the stock soared for the entire day pretty much. So that's a good sign that this wants to continue the uptrend, and you guys can see it here. And by uptrend, I mean on the 5-day, 5-minute, right? You can see this uptrend here. We held at a higher low, broke out. We're seeing a golden cross as well. So this is a good sign. I'm looking to see if AG could end up going to 17 plus, maybe tomorrow, maybe some point this week. And from there, I'm thinking we're going to end up going, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, $20 per share. That is where this stock could end up going, and maybe even higher, considering that high from a couple months ago, back in the beginning of March, end of February, was about $21. So I like AG a lot. We're going to be watching this thing very closely. And the last one that I'm looking at here is ticker symbol Nclh, also known as Norwegian Cruise Line, and this is looking like a pretty strong pattern, at least to me, right? We're making higher lows, lower highs. You guys can see today we didn't do so well at the close. We went down 1%, but still, look at how we held $26.50 to about $27, and we rallied above that point. That is a good sign, because back on that 4-hour chart, again, that is the support of the wedge. It looks like the uptrend is continuing. So Nclh, they just reported earnings a couple days ago. EPS came in at negative $2.03 versus negative $2.05 estimated. So they beat EPS. They missed revenue. The revenue is not looking too good whatsoever. But there's a couple of good things as well. The 2022 booking and pricing trends are very positive. They have $1.3 billion of advanced ticket sales at Q1 end, so that's a nice backlog there. And they have Q2 cash. Well, this isn't good, but Q2 cash burn, they expect $190 million per month of a cash burn. That is ridiculous, considering, again, they just did $3 million in one quarter, and they're burning $190K a month. That's what they're projecting for Q2, and that's just ridiculous. And they expect to keep reporting massive losses until they're able to resume regular voyages. So I feel like this in the short term, if you look at the grand scheme of things, okay, maybe not in the short term, but in the grand scheme of things, this one's still down a good chunk from $60 down to where we are right now. And is it necessarily going to go back to 60? It might never go back to 60, because this industry has been changed, and it's yet to determine, or yet to be determined, whether or not this change is forever. But we have to assume that maybe it doesn't go back to $60, but could it go back to $40? Yeah, it sure could. I mean, if we get these next couple of months behind us, this summer, the next summer rolls around, CV is gone, everybody's back to normal. Could this go back to $40? I could easily see. I don't want to say easily. I hate using that word, but it comes out naturally sometimes, so I have to stop saying that. But yes, I could see Nclh go to that point, right? Maybe $35, $40. So we're going to be watching that very closely, when it comes to the longer term. But even in the short term, I think if we hold 27, which we are as of now, and we slowly break up, there could be an opportunity to maybe $30, $29, $31 per share towards the resistance of this wedge. So those are some stocks I'm watching now, guys. My thoughts on the markets in general, kind of what I'm doing. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to smash that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel. Turn on that notification bell. And if you all want to get my real-time trades, real-time buy and sell alerts, call outs, you guys want a morning update video every day the market is open, talking about news, pre-market movers, the futures market. You also get one-on-one access with me. All of that's on Patreon. That is linked right down below. Or you guys can go to patreon.com/DasSurFest. That's patreon.com/DasSurFest. And don't forget to also get your 2 free stocks from WeBull, your $30 from M1 Finance, and $10 from Coinbase. All of those are free and linked right down below. Thanks for watching. As always, keep crushing the markets, guys. Stay safe out there.